If you're having a hard time going to college or figuring out what job you're supposed to get after college, listening to how the Cuban education system works might just enrage you, because it makes so much more sense than how we do things in the United States. See, in Cuba, all college is free, and anybody can apply to go to college. You just have to take a general entrance exam. When you apply for college, they give you a list of 10 different categories of different fields you could potentially go into for study, and you're allowed to choose 3 different fields that interest you. Now, for each of those fields, the government will know exactly how much demand is needed in the job sector. And this depends on 2 different things. The amount of work available, sure, but also the number of people who actually want to study those fields. And those 2 things taken into account together will determine how competitive it is for you to be able to study in your field of choice. If your first field of choice for study, for example, is really competitive, you have to score super, super high on your tests to be able to go into that field. And if you don't make the cut, well, you'll just get offered your second or third field of study instead. However, if your field of study is actually not that competitive and they're looking for more people like you don't necessarily need to score that high on your tests to be able to go into that field of study. That way, Cuba always ensures that they have the right number of college graduates to suit whatever jobs they have available and need, and that they always have the top performing talent available for every single sector, without leaving anybody in the dust in terms of employment opportunities or school choices. Now, every single school in Cuba is open and available to any Cuban student, but they all obviously specialize in different fields of study. Something I thought was really cool is that even art is considered its own field of study. And people who graduate from art school are, yes, guaranteed a job as a working artist, even if it's the government that pays their salary. That's because in Cuba, they consider the arts to be very important parts of their culture. And the arts can be traditional things like writing, sure, but it can also be non-traditional things like music or craft. Now, once you graduate from college, you're expected to do a sort of work-study program. They call it social service, but they say, we know that's confusing for you guys because social service means something else there. But it operates twofold. Number 1, as your job training opportunity to get your first real work experience in your field. And number 2, to do a bit of almost community service and help out in areas of Cuba where they need people like you to lend their skill set. These social service job placements can happen anywhere on the island, and they usually last between 1 and 2 years. Most Cuban students consider it their way of paying the Cuban government back for getting the free education. But it's worth noting, they still get paid to do the job. And they also get a stipend while they're in school, meaning not only do they not pay to go to college, but the government pays them to go to college. Yeah, it's fair to say I'm a little bit jealous of the Cuban school model.